Guys, my name is Mrs. Hahn. I'm one of the seventh grade language arts teachers here at Mason Middle School. And today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about an objective summary. So before we talk about what an objective summary is, I have a job for you. And that job is I'm going to read two slides and I want you to think about the different paragraphs and you decide which one you think would make a better objective summary. So here's the first one. See if you can tell the difference between this slide and the next one. In Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter is the most miserable, lonely boy you can imagine. He's shunned by his relatives, the Dursleys, that have raised him since he was an infant. He's forced to live in the cupboard under the stairs, forced to wear his cousin Dudley's hand-me-down clothes, and forced to go to his neighbor's house when the rest of the family is doing something fun. Harry's world gets turned upside down on his 11th birthday, however. A giant Hagrid informs Harry that he's really a wizard and will soon be attending Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Great, that's number one. So we're going to read this next one. You think about which one you think would make a better objective summary. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is a red-blooded adventure movie dripping with atmosphere, filled with the gruesome and the sublime, and surprisingly faithful to the novel. A lot of things could have gone wrong, and none of them have. This movie is an enchanting classic that does full justice to a story that was a daunting challenge. The novel by J.K. Rowling was vivid, and the danger was that the movie would make things too cute and cuddly. It doesn't. Like an Indiana Jones for younger viewers, it tells a rip-roaring tale of supernatural adventure where colorful and eccentric characters alternate with scary stuff. All right, think to yourself, which one's the better objective summary and why? Now, I'm going to tell you the answer, but you're welcome to pause the movie if you want to think about it before you hear my answer. Typically, my students tell me the second one is better. And I can see why, because it's got this great juicy language, red-blooded adventure movie dripping with rip-roaring tale. That's great language and you can feel the emotional excitement. But it's actually not the better summary. And here's why. So we're talking about what's called an objective summary. So first, let's talk about what that word objective means. Objective is when one's efforts, actions, or statements are not influenced by personal feelings, interpretations, biases, or prejudice. It's based on facts. So if you look at this picture, I know it's a little small and fuzzy, but there's two people looking at the oranges, and the guy on the left says, "These are oranges." And on the right, in the blue bubble, it says, "I love oranges." Well, the left statement, not as exciting, certainly not passionate, but it's an objective factual statement. There is something called an analytical summary where you can summarize something and then give your opinion about whether you agree with it or what your thoughts are about it. But that's not what we do in an objective summary. An objective summary is when we really do our best just to present what the text said or the author's main arguments or whatever the case may be. So the first paragraph, while it doesn't have as exciting language and word choice, it does a better job of just presenting the facts of what events occurred in the first part of the movie. All right, so let's also review, why do we summarize? Why are we always talking about how to write summaries of things? Well, it is important because sometimes when we read, there's just so much information in the text that we as readers have to be able to decide and pare down to what is the most important and the most worth remembering. This is really an important skill to have for writing essays and research papers, and it's also a good skill to have to help us break down and understand more difficult material. So when you read a novel, you should be cozied up in a corner next to your fireplace in a comfy chair, just absorbing and falling in love with that story. But when you're in school and you're reading something with challenging vocabulary or it's a tough text that you need to be able to break down, because that's a good skill as a reader, summaries help us focus in on the most important things and break down that difficult material. Here's your learning goal for today, considering this. Today, I'll be able to write a summary that clearly summarizes a text and includes a topic sentence, key details, and a concluding statement. So there's 4 steps. I've broken it down into 4 parts of a summary that'll help you think about the process of writing the summary that you'll hopefully be practicing soon. Step 1 is to read and annotate the text. Just read it, but annotate, which means you might highlight the main idea, the overall big, most important idea. We also call this the central idea. So for words you don't know, look them up. Maybe use another color or different markings to highlight additional important points that the author makes. Step 2, write a topic sentence. So topic sentence is like the topic of your paragraph. So it's the first sentence and it has 3 parts. In a topic sentence, you name it, verb it, and show that central idea. Remember, central idea is like the biggest idea of a text. So when I say name it, I mean identify the title of the text, whether it's a movie, an article, a short story, etc. Then also identify the author. So usually we know the author's name, but if you don't know the author's name, just say the author argues that, or the author discusses, right? Typically we know the author's name, but not always. So name the text and the author. Next, verb it. That's easy. It's usually one word. Pick a verb. Here are some great summary verbs: shows, describes, explains, discusses, lists, explores, illustrates, teaches, compares, states. And then last, show the central idea. So identify the central idea, or what we call the thesis of the text, the overall biggest idea in that thing that you are reading, whether it's an article or a book, etc. Here's just a quick example. I made it up off the top of my head. It's not a real article, although it should be. So we name it. In the article, Why Dr. Pepper is the Best Soda in All of Existence, the author, now, since I made it up, I don't have an author's name. I could have thrown Mr. Smith in there or something like that, but you're naming the article name and the author. Okay, next, pick a verb. I put a couple here just for options. Claims, argues, insists, emphasizes, and demonstrates. Let's just go with the first one, claims. And then last, the central idea that Dr. Pepper's unique flavor combination, which uses over 23 ingredients, makes it superior to the flavors of other popular sodas. So when you put it all together, it should make one fluent sentence that makes sense. In the article, Why Dr. Pepper is the Best Soda in All of Existence, the author claims that Dr. Pepper's unique flavor combination, which uses over 23 ingredients, makes it superior to the flavors of other popular sodas. Great. So that's step 2. Step 3 is where we pick up other key ideas from the text and discuss them as well, not just the one main idea or central idea. So pick to 1 to 3 essential details from each part of the text, especially if it's broken down into chunks. Keep the ideas in the original order they're discussed in the text. Don't copy from the text. This is plagiarism. If you want to avoid that and you want to just show the way the author said it exactly, you can use quotation marks to show you're using the author's exact words. Use transition words. We also call these signal words, like first, the author says this. Additionally, he goes on to say, for example, she argues that, therefore, however, etc. Okay, last, don't use minor details. In a summary, we're only including the most important key ideas. All right, and our last step, step 4, is put a bow on it, tie it all up, write a nice conclusion statement. And here are some optional things that you can put in your conclusion. You can explain why that main idea is important according to the author. Don't include your own opinion. Explain what the author shows readers, and then summarize that main idea again, but use different words. Don't just say it again, word for word. Okay, so those are the 4 steps. Read and annotate, write your topic sentence, and include a few key ideas and details that you discuss. And then lastly, write a conclusion statement to wrap it all up. And that's just an overview, a general overview of what an objective summary is.